Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm lucky enough to chat with actor Aadila Dosani. You can see her right now on the CW's Nancy Drew, where she plays an updated version of the classic character from the novels, Amanda Bobbsey of the Bobbsey Twins. We talk about her path to acting, what she loves about her job, and much more. It's a great interview, and I hope you enjoy.
Hi, Les. This is Aadila calling.
Hey, thanks so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for making the time.
So I read a couple of other interviews that you've done, and I knew that this was going to be a blast, that you were going to be awesome to talk to.
Sweet.
Uh, and I was also excited just because. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I hope so. Pressure's on.
Right, no pressure. And also, the Nancy Drew reboot on the CW has been a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Those were not books that I read as a kid, and I just ended up being a cool little mystery story, and similar to the Riverdale reboot and whatnot. But then when they added the Bobbsey Twins, and I read that they were going to do that, and I thought, I know they got into mysteries, but that feels like an even more wholesome, out of keeping with this CW update. So I was really interested as soon as I read it with how they were going to handle it and what y'all were going to be like. And so far, it's just been super cool. Can you talk a little bit about auditioning for the role and what you knew about it? Do they do a lot of secrecy on the Nancy Drew sides and whatnot, or did you know what you were going for?
Yeah, they totally did. I had no idea I was auditioning for a Bobbsey Twin. Like, absolutely no idea. So when we got the breakdown, it did say twins. So we knew the names, like Gil and Amanda. And then, how they give, character descriptions on kind of who they are. So we got a little paragraph of that and then just, a couple pages of sides. But absolutely no, they didn't allude at all to who they were going to be. So when we auditioned, which was summer of 2020, around July-ish when things started to get back at it in Canada, read for the role, and then met with over Zoom Larry and Amanda, who are co-executive producers, but who also direct some of the episodes. And that was kind of that callback process and the meet and greet, and then didn't hear for weeks. So I had no idea what was happening. It was definitely, and it has to do a lot with the pandemic and things being shifted, but no clue where this was going. And I didn't actually find out until I was on a Zoom with Melinda and Nova, our EPs and showrunners, that they were the Bobbsey Twins. So when they were you're playing a Bobbsey Twin, right? I was sorry, what? Legit. I had no idea. I was no, you're kidding. No. So it was wild. I was pretty shell-shocked.
I feel like even me being not having read those as a kid, that just wasn't a series I read as a kid, but even still, I'm familiar with that name. I feel like it speaks to the staying power and probably the smart move of rolling that character in. Totally. Were they books that were you into mysteries as a kid?
Yeah, I was such a Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys girl. I'm such a sleuther. I love the mystery genre. My whole family, actually. And funny enough, my mom's got all the Nancy Drew. She's got the collection, most of the Hardy Boys and the Bob. So she's read the Bobbsey Twins. And so we have some of them at home. And so I had read a few of the Bobbsey Twins novels in their series. And so it was pretty wild knowing that, because I was and am familiar with them. Yeah. So it was the best surprise for sure.
Now, I'd read that you had basically always had the acting bug or enjoyed it. Can you talk a
Yeah.
little bit about getting into performing and kind of what that's done for you at different phases of your life?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I feel like, honestly, performing, I mean, it's really gotten me out of my shell. I've always been pretty extroverted in the sense of like, I just like love talking to people and, making people laugh and kind of just like connecting. And so, but like performing, I think has really gotten me, like I've gotten to experience a lot, I've always wanted to like travel the world and learn things through that tactile experience versus, you know what I mean? Like being a bookworm. Like I love to read. I'm not a bookworm. And I think performing has really given me that outlet to kind of live in a space that I wouldn't normally get to go to or haven't gone to yet and kind of experience it that way. And because of like a lot of the projects I've done, it's really gotten me really curious about things. And that's kind of led to like me researching things about different parts of the world and different genres and all of that. And so I really think like performing has been my university into the world. Does that kind of make sense in that way? Like it kind of, it's opened doors for me that I never would have been able to open to because of the scripts that have come into my hand and that have like opened my eyes into how different worlds are. And then it's just made me super curious. And then I've gone and been like, I need to visit this place, or I need to learn more about this place, or I need to experience it through cuisine. Cause I was pretty basic growing up. I'm not going to lie. Like I just love hot dogs and mustard, so.
Yeah. I was a picky kid who didn't find Indian food until like my 30s. So don't feel bad.
Right. What? Shut the front door.
No, really? I grew up in a small town in Northeast Texas, and I had just never had the doors blown off with that before. And then my wife started taking me out to eat at better places.
Yeah, right. Totally.
And then I looked at her one night and was like, "How did I not eat this all the time?"
Right. I'm telling you. I am telling you. Indian food is so good.
Oh my God.
I mean, like my mom's cooking's the best, but we all say that, right? So.
Yeah. No, I cannot imagine having that, growing up with that homemade, because I mean, literally, like I was looking around at people angry in my 30s going, how did nobody tell me about this? Yeah. Like, oh no, dude, we brought it up. We mentioned it in your 20s.
Wild. That is wild. Yeah, right. That's so true. But then it's like one of those things too, where like, until I moved to Toronto after high school, I was like, what's sushi? Isn't that wild?
Yeah. No, I mean, I absolutely did not grow up with that. I think it wasn't until older friends went, no, man, you should try this. I mean, at least try it,
Totally. And like in my household, it was like, no, you don't eat raw fish. You cook it and like you make it well done.
Exactly. Yeah. My dad would eat gray shoe leather steak. So yeah, cook it till it's dead.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Like sometimes I like that. Like I like it I like jerky. So it's fine.
In terms of coolest window that a script has gotten to open for you, or learning a skill or researching a place or anything, have you had a project that, regardless of whether or not you like the character or the script or whatever, that just surprised you with like, oh, that's cool?
Yeah. You know what? I actually did this really cool film a few years ago called Fall Back Down. And it really opened. So it was based on like the punk community and the punk world. So it's basically like a punk rom-com. And it legit opened my eyes into that community. Like I had no idea how like cool and intrinsic and artistic and like so knowledgeable humans in that community really are, mainly because like I associated a lot of things with music. And so I never really listened to like punk rock or anything like that. So, and like never really got any of those scripts. Right. And so I didn't know anything about that world, and it was wild, man. Like it really opened my eyes into like why, I mean, those individuals like live the way they do and what their ideologies are and what their beliefs are. And it was so rad. And that's like, later in my life that I learned about that community and really was able to delve into that like activism punk world. And that script dealt a lot with like the activism world. And that also opened my eyes into what it truly means to be an activist and believe in something. Cause we say we all believe in things and we want to champion causes, but what it truly means when you're really in that.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. So that was really wild. It was so cool. And then musically just opened so many doors. I'm so basic when it comes to music. Like all I listen to are 90s boy bands. It's brutal.
Yeah, growing up, I had a real chip on my shoulder against country music because I grew up in a small redneck town. And so all country music was just terrible. Right. And it wasn't until I got older and went, no, pretty much any genre of music has some talented people on one end of it, and you can go find them.
Totally.
Or at least see what like people are getting into. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And then you realize you're like, yeah, they're just telling a story through like in their own way, because I was so ignorant and I was like, no, like what are they doing? They're just screaming and yelling. And then when you really listen, my mind was blown and I had to check myself and I was like, no, it's some of it's like quite beautiful. They're just telling a story in a different medium. Yeah. Like Aadila, don't be ignorant, So yeah, it was really cool. That script really opened my eyes into that lifestyle, and it was quite cool.
Yeah, I know you've produced a few short films as well. When it comes to making a creative project, all creative films and medium are collaborative, I realize. But when it comes to kind of taking a more top down approach and being in charge of a project or backing a project, what kind of stories do you look to tell?
Oh man, I mean, I kind of just want to tell I realized through producing a few things that it's kind of like what you said. If you don't really have a concrete idea or vibe that you want to put out, it's not going to be good. And I think now I'm realizing the stuff I want to tell. I mean, we all say we want to tell real, relatable stories, right? But I feel like for me, producing stories that come from how I grew up and my kind of background are the best ones, because that's what I can relate to most. And as a first generation Canadian or North American, I feel like those are the stories I kind of want to tell more so of, because that's kind of just what I know. And I feel like as a very early producer, because I'm still the projects I produced, I had no idea what the frick I was doing, man. It was brutal. I was knee deep. You kind of have I lived in a French vanilla fantasy for sure on what I thought producing was legit. And then I had no answers to anything. And I realized it's because I had no concrete vision of what I wanted to tell. And then learned after that you got to tell what you know best and what's closest to you. And I think that's what it is I want to tell stories about being a first generation South Asian, because there's not that many told. There's a lot of stories told about our parents and, how they migrated or immigrated, up here, but nothing about what it's like to kind of tread that tradition and create your own new traditions, because you are North American. And I think that's kind of what I want to tell. And I feel like those are relatable. Absolutely. Does that make sense? Sometimes I ramble, so cut me off, because I go in circles and sometimes I don't know what I. Okay.
and I agree. Those stories are relatable, and just because we're not seeing them, that's not because of some cosmic statement that they aren't. That's just crap.
Yeah.
That's just people not selecting them for us. There's a gatekeeper somewhere,
Totally.
And so I watched the last few years as conversation has gotten harder and harder with folks and seems to be more polarized.
Yeah.
TV and shows and media are this kind of safe, neutral space that can come into your living room and nobody else has to be around while your mind changes. And
exactly.
So maybe maybe it's good. No, so My So-Called Life is about to, I think, drop on streaming for the first time in a little while. And and I remember that being a gay character that I had not seen in that way at that time in my life.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
just,
exactly.
There were a lot of characters on that show that were like that, where you just went, oh, I haven't seen it like that before, but I relate to that, and that's great. Um, and maybe it helped you see
Totally.
the world through somebody else's eyes a little bit, or just realize that their eyes and your eyes are pretty much the same, which is a great moment.
Totally. And I think that's the big win is like we think that we're so different, but really we're really not, like deep down. So I think that was like a realization moment is like we do connect on that deep level because we do see the same things. We're just putting a narrative on it because we think we have to because of societal pressures and what we think we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
When really like we all just want one thing, man. It's simple.
Yeah. When when you're going, hey, your drums are loud and your guitar is crazy, but deep down y'all are just activists. Got it. Okay.
Exactly. And exactly, right? Yeah.
One of the things that
100%.
always amazes me about acting is that you have to do these auditions, whether they be self-tape or going in, and then kind of have to just put it out of your mind and forget about it. Because like you said, you just don't hear about it for a few weeks and you think, well, that probably went to somebody else. Oh, crap, it didn't? I got that? Okay. But, if not, you just got to go on. Did the pandemic heighten that? Did you have to change how you manage that stress?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm like, man, like, dude, I'm like cuckoo bananas. Like, I don't know. I really have to, I've really been working on letting things go. I can't let anything go. It's freaking brutal. And especially now. So like, at least when you go into the room or before, when we did go into the room pre-pandemic, I think it's like more innate to let things go because sometimes it feels like you black out or it's a whirlwind and you can't like rewatch that tape over and over and pick yourself apart. And now that everything is self-tape, all I do, like sometimes I will I have my laptop in bed because I'm like editing something late night and then I will wake up because I have anxiety about why I sent that in and I will rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it and like make myself crazy. It's insane. So it's been even worse in that aspect for me because I'm like, I don't even know why. I'm like, why am I inflicting this self-torture on myself? It's already out there. It's not like I can take it back. But it's great because you can control the environment. But then for me personally, it's like also not because I'm not going to lie. They're all on a hard drive. And I will go through something I taped for 3 months ago just to rewatch it and pick myself apart. Like, I don't know. I'm crazy. I'm so crazy.
I didn't even consider that when you're going live in the room, you can at least try to forget about it. Maybe your brain will dredge it back up at 3 a.m., but maybe not. But if you made the tape, then you've just got it there.
Yeah. You've got it there. Like sometimes I go as far as I'm like, oh my God, and it's not even, I just create this narrative in my head and I'm like, well, why didn't I just put a filter on it? And I'm like, Aadila, are you on glue? Like you can't put a filter on a tape, but like sometimes I have.
It's like lying about your height on a dating app. Like they're going to see you eventually.
They're going to see it. Exactly. Like my agent will sometimes be like, yo, that's like, what'd you do? Did you just cut that in the middle and then take like another take from another scene? People are going to notice that, right? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a glitch. Like, no.
I'm going into a tunnel. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about it all today. This is great.
Yeah, no, you're so welcome. Yeah. And thank you for taking the time. This was fun.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day and best of luck with the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, you as well. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.